The most painful execution methods ever invented. You're really sure you want to watch this? Okay, it's your brain. Let's be honest for a second, life is already rough sometimes. Alarm clocks, taxes, stepping on Legos in the dark, all brutal in their own right. But hey, at least you've never had to worry about getting disemboweled in front of thousands, or being force-fed honey until you're eaten alive by bugs. Morbid curiosity got you here, and lucky for you, your timing's perfect, because today, we're taking a tour of history's absolute worst pain as public policy showcases. So buckle up, Buttercup. This ride goes straight to the darkest corners of human imagination, where punishment is creative, pain is currency, and, surprise, there's usually an extremely bored crowd watching you lose your lunch and meet your maker. If you've got a faint stomach, keep the barf bag handy. But if you're twisted enough to want more, hit that subscribe button and, maybe talk to someone about it. Just saying. The point of pain, humanity's legacy of justice. First things first, why go to all this trouble? Couldn't people just go to jail, write I'm sorry 100 times, and move on? Nah. Back when the world was a little less Netflix and chill, and a lot more blood and thrill, public executions weren't just about ending one poor schmuck's life, they were staged events, tailor-made to make everyone else quake in their sandals. Cities invested serious coin into these spectacles. Sometimes the goal was simple, get a confession, preferably one loud enough for everyone to hear. Other times, it was all about scaring potential troublemakers into behaving. But if you're thinking, well, that's just medieval Europe, right? Oh, my sweet summer child, every society has dipped their toes in this nasty pool, east, west, north, south, nobody gets out clean. So let's break it down. For this journey through misery, we'll drop in on the highlights, each more inventive, horrifying, than the last. Section 1, the breaking wheel, roll out the pain. If you've ever thought a bicycle accident was bad, imagine being the actual wheel. The breaking wheel, also known as Catherine's wheel, was the top-tier crowd pleaser for centuries across Europe, medieval marketing at its goriest. Here's how it went down. You, the lucky contestant, got tied up, limbs splayed out, fastened across a massive wooden wheel. But don't worry, a professional was there to turn your bones into a jigsaw puzzle. Using a big iron bar, think medieval baseball bat with rage issues, the executioner would smash your arms and legs, one joint at a time, working from the extremities inward. Did I mention there was an exact order for breaking bones so you'd stay alive for hours? Sometimes days? Good times. But wait. You'd think that's gotta be the end, right? Nope. After the skeleton remix, you might be left up on display, hung atop a pole, wheel and all, as birds pecked at your twitching face. Meanwhile, the crowd ate snacks and swapped rumors about which peasant was next. And for the record, some versions supposedly offered mercy, a final blow to the chest or neck, ending your suffering. But only if the crowd wasn't having too much fun first. Because, priorities. Section 2, Impalement, the sharp end of history. Ever stubbed your toe on a coffee table and thought, that's enough, I'm out? Try being impaled under Vlad the Impaler, poster boy of pain, and probably the world's worst party host. Impalement was a statement method. As in, the king wants to make a statement and unfortunately, you're the megaphone. You'd be lifted, sometimes still very much alive, over a long, sharpened pole planted in the ground. Depending on the region, they might oil the stake and ease it into action, or just let gravity do all the dirty work. But here's the worst part, done slowly, the stake could pass between organs, missing the most vital parts, so death dragged out over hours or even days. In Wallachia, legends claim you could walk forests of impaled bodies, each one twitching, groaning, and scaring off invaders who'd think twice before invading again. Heads up, this method stuck around everywhere from ancient Assyria to 19th century China. So, next time you sit down and grimace, send a thank you note to your ancestors for not inventing chairs shaped like medieval stakes. Section 3, Burning alive, fire it up. Let's crank the temperature. Burning at the stake was pyrotechnics meets public shaming, because nothing says don't blaspheme like watching someone cook from the feet up. Often reserved for supposed witches, heretics, and folks with the wrong haircut, burning was a bit of a lottery. Sometimes, the fire burned hot and fast, but more often, it started slow, smoke and flames curling around your legs, your body giving you a masterclass in nerve endings. Never mind that the scent of burning flesh could hang over a city for days, or that the condemned would promise anything to get a quick death. Sometimes they'd be throttled or strangled before the flames hit, a mercy depending on the executioner's mood. People brought their kids, bought snacks, made memories. The last thing you heard before your ears burned off might have been some peasant asking if there'd be an encore. Bonus round, the Spanish Inquisition, whoever expected them, had their own twist called auto de fe, literally act of faith. It was like church, but with an all-you-can-tolerate roasting. Section 4, the brazen bull can't beat the heat. Let's talk upgrades. Greeks weren't just philosophers. They also invented the brazen bull because why not turn execution into performance art? So you took a hollow bronze statue, shaped like a raging bull, put a door in its side, and stuffed in the unlucky prisoner. Fire blazed under the bull, slowly turning the prisoner into brisket. But wait, those ancient Greeks had showmanship. The mechanism inside converted screams into bull-like bellows, a real rustic symphony for the audience. Even wrote poetry about it. #GoTeamHumanity. The guy who built it tried to show off the sound for the tyrant, so the tyrant tossed him in for a demo. Next time you invent something, maybe test it out on a watermelon first. Section 5, Death by 1,000 Cuts, Lynchy. Ready for some death by 1,000 cuts? Because, apparently, a single cut was way too basic. Enter Lynchy, the Imperial Chinese edition of Too Much Information. This one's famous for precision and endurance. The condemned was tied up, and over hours, sometimes into the next day, bits of skin, muscle, and, eventually, limbs were sliced off with surgical care. Death might not come for a while, giving everyone time to gasp, pray, throw up, and regret having lunch. Spectators? You bet. And often, family members had the distinct honor of buying a mercy kill from the executioner. A tip, kind sir, for a quick in to uncle you. If not? Well, you got what you paid for. Some emperors even required that the mangled remains be displayed for days. Gotta make sure the lesson sticks, right? Section 6, Scaphism, Insects and Insults. So you survived war with Persia, congrats. Hope you don't get scaphism. This death by nature makes bear attacks look cute. Victims were sandwiched between two hollowed-out logs, force-fed milk and honey, and smeared with more sticky sweet stuff. No keto diet here. Within a day, you were a bloated, miserable, open buffet for every fly, ant, beetle, and mosquito in the region. The stench, the infections, the bugs, executioners sometimes even rode the logs into a swamp to make sure you got the full nature experience. Death, usually by septic shock and bacteria, could take days. It's like summer camp, but the counselors are mosquitoes, and you never go home. Section 7, Flaying Alive, Coming Out of Your Shell. Assyria, Babylon, and a whole roll call of ancient states dabbled in flaying, which sounds an awful lot like filleting, and, shocker, it's just as bad. Sometimes all you lost was your scalp, but more often, the skin came off in long, agonizing strips. There's no good version of this, but the worst offenders would nail your peeled skin to the city gates as a handy, low-tech warning poster. Generally, this was reserved for traitors, rebels, or anyone who forgot to pay their taxes. Timely reminder for tax season, right? Survivors? Basically unheard of, turns out skin is pretty important. Section 8, Sawing in Half, Magic Trick Gone Wrong. Here's a showstopper, the cut in half routine. No wands, no top hats, and definitely no applause. Depending on where you pulled the short straw, the saw might start either between your legs, oof, or at your midsection. Some cultures hung victims upside down to slow blood loss and prolong consciousness, because why show mercy when you can show off? The saw, worked by two energetic executioners, chewed its way through flesh and bone while the crowd cheered or groaned. If you made it to your torso still awake, you either had the world's best pain tolerance or the world's worst luck. Section 9, Drawn and Quartered, Bye-Bye, Limbs 36:00-42:00. The British, for as much as they loved their tea and scones, really outdid themselves with drawing and quartering. This was the full-course meal of executions. Step 1, drag the victim through the streets, tied to a horse or cart. Step 2, hang, but don't kill him quite yet. Step 3, open him up, rip out some guts, set those on fire, and maybe wave your privates at the crowd. The less said, the better. Step 4. Behead, then chop what's left into quarters. Step 5. Ship your limbs around the kingdom as the worst kind of souvenir. If you're squeamish, good thing you skipped the 1300s. Section 10. The Iron Maiden, not the band, unfortunately. You've probably seen this one in every creepy torture museum, and, no, Eddie didn't invent it. The Iron Maiden is that infamous metal sarcophagus lined with sharp spikes inside. You get shut in, ouch, spikes into your body, but, plot twist, supposedly not into your vital organs. The whole evil genius idea? You'd suffer for hours, maybe days, as your blood slowly trickled away and you pondered every questionable life choice that led you to this point. Historians still argue if this device was ever really used, or if it was just medieval clickbait invented centuries later for tourists. Either way, it had one heck of a wow factor, and honestly, who comes up with this stuff? Middle Ages Europe, medieval on the outside, metal on the inside. Section 11. The Pear of Anguish, a yike-shaped fruit. Ever looked at a piece of silverware and thought, needs more trauma? Enter the Pear of Anguish. A device shaped like, you guessed it, a pear, except it splits apart at the turn of a screw. Now, where do you use it? Let's just say it goes where the sun don't shine, mouth, back door, or, for some poor souls, the birth canal, then gets cranked open to tear tender flesh apart from the inside. Not only did this gruesome gadget bring physical agony, but it really clocked in the humiliation points. Honestly, can you imagine writing that on your resume? Survived being paired. Hard pass. Section 12. Boiling, cooking up suffering. Move aside, Michelin-starred chefs, the real boil masters ran ancient execution pits. Victims, sometimes fully naked for added effect, got dunked into cauldrons full of boiling water, tar, oil, or even, on occasion, molten metals. No quick end here, screaming, struggles, skin peeling like overcooked potatoes, and all before an eager crowd. Bonus points, sometimes, the executioner would play with the fire's temperature. Too hot? Instant death. Just right, which was wrong, you'd simmer for ages as folks placed bets on your endurance. Worst fondue ever. Section 13. Bamboo torture, nature comes for you. Here's one that probably made every plant lover out there reconsider their life choices. In the tales of Imperial Asia, bamboo torture meant tying someone down over young bamboo shoots, watering both liberally, and letting nature run amok. Bamboo can grow up to a meter a day, and yes, the legend goes, the shoots would spear through flesh in a matter of days, slow and steady. Fact or grand exaggeration? Jury's still out, but one thing's for sure, next time you see a Zen garden, maybe don't lie down for a nap. Section 14. Gibbeting, human, do not disturb signs. For some unlucky souls, death wasn't the end of their public service. Gibbeting, or hanging in chains, meant getting locked in a cage, sometimes alive, sometimes not, and left on public display, swinging in the wind for birds, bugs, and nosy neighbors. The living victims died slowly, the dead ones rotted slowly, but the message? Crystal clear. Tip: medieval city planners did not care about curb appeal. If you were out for a stroll and tripped over an arm, well, you get the idea. Section 15. Crushing, pressure to confess. When talk therapy failed, some folks went straight for talk or die. Accused witches, criminals, debtors, you name it, got the crushing special: lie down, stack up rocks, and keep it coming until bones crack and organs swoosh. Shout out to Giles Corey, a Salem witch trials legend. Last words? More weight. That's commitment. You don't see that grit in Yelp reviews. Section 16. The Spanish donkey. Oops, you're sitting wrong. You think your office chair is bad? The Spanish donkey was medieval Europe's answer to, how can we make sitting down a war crime? Victims were forced to straddle a sharp-edged wooden beam, then weights were tied to their legs. As gravity did its thing, the beam cut flesh, muscle, you get it. Lesson: always invest in ergonomic seating. Section 17. The rat cage rats, this is bad. Even animals got roped into creativity. The rat cage: tie a cage of hungry rats to a victim's stomach or chest, then heat it from the outside. Surprise! The rats burrow the path of least resistance right through human flesh. If you're squeamish, maybe go pet a guinea pig and call it therapy. Section 18. Keelhauling, boat ride from hell. matey. Think pirates are all beer and singing? Keel hauling was the extreme sport no one wanted to play. You'd get tied to ropes, dragged under the ship's hull, and let's just say barnacles aren't forgiving. You'd come up shredded, maybe missing bits, and definitely rethinking your seafaring career. Section 19, the garrote, neck and neck with pain. Spain went old school with the garrote, a metal collar with a screw built in. Twist, 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 neck snaps, windpipe crushes, lights out. The twist? Pun intended. Used until the late 1970s. Yeah, you read that right. Section 20, Blood Eagle, Vikings and Viscera 70:00, 74:00. Let's Ragnar and roll. The Vikings knew how to leave an impression, and it wasn't all meat in longboats. The legendary Blood Eagle was reserved for traders. Slice open the back, snap the ribs, pull out the lungs and splay 'em like wings. Was it ever really done? Who cares, by now, it's seared into everyone's memory. Real or not, it wins for sheer drama. Fun fact, if you're still conscious by the time they're rearranging your organs, you're tough enough for Valhalla. Section 21, Execution by Elephant, Natural Justice. South and Southeast Asian rulers liked their justice with extra weight. Literally. Trained elephants would crush, rip, or even toss condemned criminals, sometimes on command, just smush his head a bit, Jumbo. Showmanship? 10 out of 10. Section 22, the Sawhorse, DIY Despair. If you thought medieval folks were all about swords and chains, think again. Some townsfolk just set you on a wooden beam, sometimes sharpened, sometimes not, and left you to slide, or be forced, downward. Gravity did the rest. DIY death, assemble with care. Section 23, Firing Squad, modern, but still brutal. Jump ahead to the modern era. Firing squads are, on paper, more merciful, but not always quick or reliable. Missed organs, poor marksmen, and botched salvos mean you could linger in pain, praying for that final bullet. Section 24, Cement shoes, going out with a splash. The Mafia contributed their own chapter. Bind the victim's feet in a bucket, pour in cement, let it set, then take 'em for a ride overboard. Not really historic, but hey, the movies love it. Drowning is nasty, slow, and not nearly as cinematic as Hollywood makes it seem. Section 25, the choking collar, metal hugs from hell. Yep, that's a metal collar lined with spikes. Each turn of the screw pushed the spikes in deeper death by suffocation, shock, and pure agony. Fashion victim redefined. Section 26, the trial by ordeal, pain for truth. In medieval Africa, Asia, and Europe, justice was often a team effort between pain and God. Trial by fire, water, or poison, walk across burning coals, drink noxious brew, or get tossed in a river tied up. Survive? You're innocent. Die? Well, that settles it. Modern law, not perfect, but a definite upgrade. Section 27, Psychology, why so nasty? Why did humans get so darn extra? Simple, and not so simple, answers. Scare the masses into obedience. Entertain crowds. Reinforce social order. Project power. Maybe, deep down, folks just needed to feel some control in a brutal world. Today, we may not burn witches, but try posting a bad hot take online and see if the internet mob doesn't show up with digital pitchforks. Outro, if you made it this far. Congrats, champ. You survived a whistle-stop tour of human pain and justice at its most extra. If you're still here, you're probably tough as nails or so desensitized, you may need a cup of tea in a minute to recalibrate. If you learned something, or just got the heebie-jeebies, hit that like and subscribe, maybe tell a friend, and for Pete's sake, stay on the right side of the law. Next time you gripe about a traffic ticket, remember, at least nobody's making you sit on the Spanish donkey or get cozy with the rats. History, always happy to remind you it could be worse. Catch you next time, when we'll dig up something even stranger, and hopefully, a lot less painful.